everyone, and welcome to today's video. Thanks for joining me this week. Today we're talking about the 5 biggest mistakes made with money. For those of you that haven't met me, my name is Angela. I started the Money Messenger project as a way of sharing some of my knowledge with regards to money. I've been working in financial planning for the last 20 years, so I've learned a thing or two about money. I've seen what works and what doesn't work. But I'm also an investor myself, so everything I've learned, I've also implemented. So I walk the walk and talk the talk. Everything I teach you about, talk to you about, tell you to do, tell you to stay away from, I also do for myself. So I know this stuff works. So today, thanks for joining me. We're talking about the 5 biggest mistakes made with money. If you're watching me live today, please send me a wave, click the button, tell me where you're watching from. I love seeing where this is all reaching to around the world. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them. I'll do my best to try and answer them live while we're on the air. Let's get started. 5 biggest mistakes made with money. Number 1, not learning about money. Maybe you're not sure where to start. Maybe you're feeling a little helpless. Maybe you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed by all this stuff because there is a lot of information out there. Some of it good, some of it not so good. So where do you learn? What do you do? Where do you start first? See, the thing is, you can't trust somebody else with your money. There are advisors out there, there are brokers out there, there are people, experts that are meant to help you. Sometimes they don't always have your best interest at heart. Sometimes they do, but unfortunately, with regards to things like legislation changing, markets changing, all sorts of different facts and figures, sometimes the advice given may or may not be the best. So what do? You need to take charge and start learning about money yourself, because ultimately the responsibility lies with you. It's your money, you need to look after it. That doesn't mean you need to become an expert of all things related to money, however. You still can find good value in paying for advice when needed, because you really can't be expected to know everything with regards to money, plus your own life, plus your own job, plus all your other things in your life going on. So when you seek advice, whether it be financial advice or advice about a mortgage from a broker, or insurance, or real estate advice from a real estate agent, or even legal advice from a lawyer or medical advice from a doctor, you need to address the advice that you've been given and see if it feels right. Use some common sense. Does it sound good? If it's confusing and you really have no idea what's going on or what you've been told to do, then perhaps that advice is not for you and you might need to search out a second opinion. But before all that, the best thing you can do is start learning for yourself. That means reading books, blogs, attending seminars, learning the lingo, learning the terminology yourself, learning the basics, watching things like these videos, learning from the Money Messenger. Things that you can do to put in place in your financial life right now are taught to you in these videos and through my book and through my website. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to try and streamline some of this, try and simplify it for you so that you can learn the basics and where you need to start and what you can do for yourself. So that's important, because we don't want you to feel hopeless, powerless, overwhelmed. There's a lot out there, but you need to make a start. Start learning wherever you can. Absorb everything. Be the best sponge that you can be. And start small. Don't get overwhelmed. Number 2, biggest problem, biggest mistake made with money is inconsistent income. If you change jobs, chop and change, maybe you do casual work only or part-time, and then you're changing jobs, or you're earning money on a contract basis and your income is all over the shop, it's very hard for you to put in a long-term plan for your money if things keep chopping and changing. If you're fairly young and just new to the workforce, then get a job and stick with it. Try and keep it as consistent as possible, because when you want to do things with your money, you need to know that it's coming in each and every week. If later on you want to go for a mortgage, for example, the bank will look at how consistent your income is and how many jobs you've had and how many times you've chopped and changed. If you earn contract business or contract income, or your income is erratic, look to start regulating your income. Say if you're paid fortnightly, for example, and even that changes from time to time depending on how many shifts you do or how many hours you work a week, regulate your income by having it all paid into one bank account and then paying yourself the same amount each week. That's what I do with my income. I invoice through my business in financial planning. I invoice on a monthly basis, so my income changes every month. Over the year, it all works out in the end and washes out. Some months are small, some months are very nice. In the end, it washes out. But to regulate that, I pay myself the same amount each month. Doesn't matter if I get paid more that month or less, I pay the same amount from my business account every single month. So it all washes out in the end. I regulate my income, and I have some there for when my months are small. Number 3, not paying yourself first. Let's talk about savings for a minute, because a lot of people have a problem with saving money on a regular basis. And I've done videos on this in the past about paying yourself first, saving first. See, when you earn income, who are you working for? Is it the tax man? Is it the grocery shop? Is it the real estate agent, the landlord, the mortgage, the bank? Is it everybody else other than you? When you work for you and your life and your income. So you should be paid first. That means when you get paid your income, the day of your income, set a direct debit to send at least 10% of your income to a separate bank account held with another banking institution. It's good if you get that direct debit just to lodge the day after you're paid, so that doesn't even give you time to spend the money. It's moved out of sight, moved to another bank account before you have a chance to spend it. That means you're paying yourself first. First before you pay your landlord, before you pay your mortgage. Can't pay the tax man second in Australia. That's taken out of most people's wages first, but do it straight after. Pay yourself first. You're working for you, so that means you pay yourself first. When you do this, you will then save each and every time without fail. The time when people don't save is when they pay themselves last. When they pay all their other expenses, living costs, groceries, petrol, rent, all that, and then they try and save afterwards. And quite often, let's be honest, there's never any money left over. You must pay yourself. You must save some money each and every time you're paid, because just like with me, with my business, there will be some months that will be low income months, or there will be sometimes an emergency pops up. You need to have emergency funds and money left over, because you really can't afford everything all in 1 week from a week's pay. You don't know when an emergency will pop up. You don't know when your fridge will break down. You don't know when a holiday will pop up that you want to take quickly. You need to have emergency money, holiday money, savings. You can't spend everything you earn and live payday to payday. If you do, when something pops up, like a broken fridge, an emergency, medical emergency, a holiday that you want to take advantage of, you'll then be tempted to use personal debt, things like credit cards. That's why they're so easily accessible, because the banks make their money out of people not being prepared and then needing to rely on borrowed money to get more of the things that they want in life. So change it the other way around. Pay yourself first, save first, spend afterwards. That was number 3. Number 4, spending too much. These days, we all live in instant gratification. Times are online. There are so many ads. There are so many pop-ups. There are so many ways that marketing is pushed in front of us these days. Whether you're reading a blog and that little ad pops up right in the middle of a blog article that you're reading, that's done so you see it easier and quicker. Marketing. Whether it's pop-ups on Facebook or ads that you see, no longer do things need to come to your mailbox or even to your email. There are things out there trying to get you to buy constantly. There's also payment options that have been popping up lately, such as buy now, pay later, Afterpay, Easy Pay, things like that. That's to get you to spend more money. The easier it can be for companies to make you buy and to pay for it easily, the more you buy, the more the temptation is. So no longer do a lot of people stick to rigid budgets and save up money for things that they want. Instead, they grab the credit card, grab Afterpay, do whatever it takes to get what they want. That either sometimes comes from not being prepared. In other words, your holiday fund isn't ready to go, for example, when you want to book a flight. Or it could be because you don't have any emergency fund savings. And so when the fridge does break, then you need to go and get a credit card, for example. Number 5, my cat wants to say hello. I'm just letting you all know. I'm hoping she doesn't meow. She was asleep. Now she's not. This could become a problem. Number 5, using personal debt. Like I said, if you're not prepared, if you don't have your emergency fund, if you don't have your holiday savings ready to go, if you don't have your just in case fund, all these things are covered in my book, by the way, which I'm going to talk afterwards. If you're not prepared, things happen. That's when you go to credit card debt. That's when you go to personal loans. Even cars, if you don't save up for a car and your taste buds are too expensive, for example, you may then want to take out a car loan. Using personal debt is one of the biggest killers of financial success. I'm seeing it more and more these days where young people in their early 20s are having thousands and thousands of dollars worth of credit card debt, personal loans, plus some student loans, which we can't always help. But the personal loans, the credit card debt, that can be helped. You don't need it. You just need to be prepared. Successful people, successful with money people, do not use personal debt. Blanket statement, and that is a fact. They don't use it because the interest they pay on those credit card debts, on those personal loans, on those car loans, for example, it's not tax deductible, which means it does absolutely nothing for your financial future in terms of paying less tax. And actually the things that you're buying using that borrowed money go down in value over time. That means you're paying interest to a bank to buy something that is going down in value, and that completely defeats the purpose of making money. If you borrow money to make a property purchase, for example, a property that might go up in value over time, or to buy shares, that's good financial planning. That's good investing. But if you borrow money to buy clothes, to buy cars, to buy furniture, to buy a new fridge when it breaks down, to buy a holiday, anything like that, it all goes down in value, which means you're paying more than you should for that fridge, for that holiday, for that car. You're paying more for the item, but then it's going down in value. That doesn't add up. That's bad financial planning. That's bad money management. And you know what? Credit cards were not around since the dawn of time. I remember when they weren't around. I never remember my parents having a credit card. And let me be straight, I'm not opposed to credit cards. I actually use credit cards. I put all my expenses on credit cards. The difference is that I repay the full balance by the due date, and I have absolutely no credit card debt, no car loan debt, no bad debt, we call it. That's the difference. Using credit cards is not bad. Using credit cards in the wrong way is bad. So if you're not prepared with money, that's when you can fall into the debt trap of using personal debt. And that will kill you financially, because if you can't get ahead of the repayments, in other words, you've bought something you couldn't otherwise afford with cash, for example, you're either spending too much or you're paying money to banks for nothing, really. And either way, that's going to shoot yourself in the foot when it comes to money. So just to recap, the 5 biggest mistakes made with money. And these are broad mistakes. I could talk about them for hours, about the finer details of them. But the broad mistakes, the 5 biggest mistakes made with money are not learning about money. How do you fix that? Grab some books, watch some videos, absorb everything you can when it comes to money. Number 2, inconsistent income. When you have a job, stick at it. Don't chop and change. You have to be happy with your job role and your company and all that, but secure a job and stick with it, at least for a few years at a time, because that will make a difference to your financial cash flow and to your credit score and your financial suitability for a loan, for example. Number 3, not paying yourself first. How do you get around that? Open up a separate bank account. The minute you're paid, set a direct debit to lodge. Put at least 10% of your income into another account every single payday, before you pay your mortgage, before you pay your rent, everything like that. Really, most people should be able to save at least 20% of their income. If you can't live off the other 80%, that means that you're spending too much for the income you earn. Number 4, spending too much. Track your expenses. See where they actually go. Write them down. There's an awesome app that I love called Monify, and it helps you just to pop in your expenses as you're going through in the day. Do that for a couple of months and see where your money is really going, because if you don't track them, you can't possibly know. Then look to cut back. I know that's easier said than done, but really, if you really look at what we spend today, the things that we buy today, do we really need half of them? No, we don't. Did we need half of them 10 years ago? No, we didn't. So why do we need them now? Look at your expenses and cut back. Even just a few things cut back, a few extra dollars a week, month, or year can make a lot of difference. Number 5, personal debt. Stay away from it. If you want to be ahead of the game and succeed with money and not shoot yourself in the foot, stay away from credit card debt, stay away from personal loans, stay away from store credit, even things like Afterpay. Even though there might not be any interest payable, there are small fees. And look, let's be honest, it's just another thing for you to juggle in your money life. And ain't nobody got time for that. If you can't pay it with cash, don't buy it. Simple as that. Have your money organized so you don't need personal debt. And it's simple as just being prepared. So when an expense pops up, you have the savings ready to go. You don't do it afterwards when you have already signed up for the holiday, for example. So they're the 5 biggest mistakes made with money. I also want to tell you about one little bonus mistake, I'm going to call it. It's another big mistake. It's not in the top 5. I didn't want to write them there because I wanted to keep it simple, as in the biggest 5 mistakes. But really, the 6th biggest mistake when it comes to money is not investing. I know investing might sound scary or broad terminology again, but the fact is you can't pay for everything out of 1 week's wage. And the cost of a loaf of bread these days is not the same as it was 10 years ago, and is not the same as it will be in another 5 years, for example. That's inflation. Your money being in the bank is not enough to pay for things in the future, because the interest we earn in a bank account is minimal, if nothing at all. Even high interest accounts that might pay you like 1.5% or 2%, for example, that ain't going to cut it. When inflation itself is about 2.5%, that means you need to invest your money to earn more than that just to keep ahead of inflation, just to keep ahead of the game. So when you've got your savings intact and you're doing that on a regular basis, some of that money that you've been saving, like your 10% savings, should be put into something that will earn more money for you. Why? Because if you don't, you won't get ahead of inflation, and you'll find you're actually worth less monetary in 10 years than you are now. So whether it's buying a home, whether it's buying an investment, whether it's opening up a managed fund like a savings plan, for example, which might have some shares in it, whether it's going into business, that's also a great way of making money. It's not about making money that will change the world. Money is not everything, but it does help. You need it to buy shelter, food, expenses. It's an important part of life. So if you want to get ahead financially, it's important not to just think about today, but where will you be in 30, 40 years time, which I know feels like a long time away. But if you save a small amount, invest a small amount now, what that will be worth in 20 or 30 years will just blow your mind. And it's something that can be done in the background of your life so that you don't have to put so much effort into it. A small savings plan, even $50 a week over 20 years, you're going to find yourself with hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you need to invest. That's the 6th biggest mistake with money, is relying on money saved to a bank account and not investing anything. So if anyone's got any questions about what we talked about today, please feel free to pop a comment in the box below and I'll get back to you about that one. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I do these videos every single Wednesday. I hope you can enjoy it and join me next week for the next week's video. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to the Money Messenger website, www.moneymessenger.com.au. I did release a book, I mentioned earlier. I did release a book a couple of weeks ago which shares with you all my tips, tricks, secrets when it comes to money, the financial strategies that I use on a daily basis that have served me well. And remember, I have no credit card debt, no personal debt whatsoever. I am normal. It is possible. It is very easy, actually. So this book shares with you those tips, tricks, and secrets. It shows you how to automate your savings and your expenses and everything that I talked about now today in greater detail. It's available on moneymessenger.com.au. The ebook is available now. It's only $17.95. I mean, Jesus, less than cost of 4 cappuccinos. I will be bringing out the hard copy in a couple of weeks as well. For those of you that prefer a paperback, that will be on there too, so stay tuned. But I wrote this book as a way of sharing what I do on a day-to-day basis so that you can follow it for yourself. It comes from my 20 years of financial planning experience and my own investing experience. So I hope you enjoy that and grab a copy of yourself. And please share it around with your friends and family. That's how we'll get more of this financial literacy increased in this country and around the world. So that's it for me today. Today we talked about the 5 biggest mistakes made with money. Signing off for today. Join me next Wednesday and I'll see you all then. Thank you very much. Bye.